right into this right away. To set the stage correctly, there was a gentleman walking in Port Coquitlam on his way to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in one of the alleys in Port Coquitlam. On his way home, he was approached by an RCMP officer who was in the area looking for a suspect in a local break-and-enter. Apparently someone had broken into someone's house and they were dispatched to find the person. Instead, they found this guy walking in the back alley with a duffel bag, assumed that he was the guy that was the thief, and when he protested he wasn't, gave his name, gave his information. They still thought it was him, I guess. He told them, if you want to ask me any more questions, I'm late for my meeting. You can come find me there. He wasn't under arrest. He turned to walk away, and then moments later, the RCMP officer strikes him with a baton or with a split or something, actually breaks his kneecap, the kneecap itself and a bone on the side of the knee, requiring reconstructive surgery. And this particular gentleman, who we're calling John, was basically going to be off his leg for the next 3 to 6 months, unable to walk for that period of time. I understand that you were a close friend of his. Can you update us to his condition?
Right now, his condition is that he is living at a relative's house. He is unable to get up to go to the bathroom for himself. He can't cook food for himself. Can't even get up to get a drink of water, nothing. He can't get out of bed for 3 months. His knee is severely sore. Yesterday, he even tried to make it to a recovery meeting, and he made it there, but he had to take a bunch of pills when he got home because the pain was too much. So even for someone to go through all that in recovery, and then he's still willing to stay clean and go to meetings for like 3 days after the hospital, like, these cops did not deserve to do it to this guy, you know?
Yeah. Well, it sounded to me like, this is a man who has had a bit of some problems with alcohol as he's gone through his adult life. It sounded to me like he was going to his recovery programs. He was trying to make a difference. He was going to an AA meeting, and then something else happens to him we just don't expect. He must be very angry about this whole thing.
Yeah, he is, right? But he's the type of guy, he's not, like, he would never swing at a cop. He would never hurt anyone. He's harmless as he's one of the drunks that turn homeless, but he is like the biggest hearted guy there is if he likes you, right? And he's friends with you. But he's not the type of guy that would go and start fights. He would not swing at a cop. There's no reason for the cop to do that. So, you know, especially for someone who's trying to change their life and go on a recovery meeting, it was pathetic. Like, oh yeah, like as soon as I heard about it and I heard that it was a cop, like it brought me back because they used to do that to me. And oh man, if I was smart like he is, I'd be charging their ass and suing their ass and getting them as much money as possible.
Right.
You know?
No, I think that's totally a fair point. I mean, if you feel
he's not going to be able to work for 3 to 6 months or 6 months at least, right?
Yeah. So
that's 6 months of work sitting on a couch while your family member takes care of you because you can't do it yourself when you're 50 years old.
Right.
Like, come on now, these fuckers, they messed up his life.
Yeah. No, and I understand that you're outraged about it. I mean, as I am. I need to caution that there is some stuff we don't know. We don't know what the RCMP's motivation was. We haven't had a chance to look at the police report.
It doesn't matter, though. There's no way. There was nothing that he did that the cop needed to take out a bat and swing. The cops are only supposed to use force like that if they're resisting arrest. So if he did not resist arrest and be told, hey, you're being arrested for this, and then start resisting, then there's a reason to restrain. But he didn't get restrained. He got hit from the side, and the cop reached around and smoked him in the front of the knee.
Right.
Like the cop cheap shot him. So obviously he wasn't against him if the cop had to come from behind him and then from the side and then hit him in the front, right?
I mean, as best I can understand it, too. I mean, this is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the program. You have a bit of an education in the law, being when you were younger, you were involved in some incidents. But to my understanding, I mean, John doesn't believe he was under arrest. And if he wasn't under arrest, then how can he resist arrest? And if he wasn't, the police may have asked him to stop. John told me he doesn't remember if they did or not. But even if he didn't stop, he's still not under arrest. It's not like he was trying to flee or something. I mean, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of a scenario in which this just doesn't look like excessive force, and I'm having a bit of a problem with that.
Well, because it is excessive force. There is 100% excessive force. There was not one time that he hit the cop, that he started to run or nothing. he's got a broken hip, so you know he wasn't running from the cops.
Right. And there's
like and his hip shattered, now his knee shattered. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and there was the other issue too. Apparently, there was a backup police officer that was called who was driving towards John when he was walking away, and for some reason, the officer still felt it was necessary to take him down to the ground, which seems strange to me as well.
Yeah, like that's what they used to do. Like with me, like if I was in a car, stolen car, they would rip me out of the seat with the seatbelt in it, rip the seatbelt, then they'd handcuff me, then pepper spray me, then beat me, take me to the cell, and beat me again.
Right.
Handcuffed, right? Like they're cheap like that, you know. And they know him because he is a drunk and he's homeless guy, right? When he drinks,
right?
All his family kicks him out and he's as well,
right?
But when he's clean and he's working on trying to save his life, you know, like that's a big change, you know. Now, you know, I don't know. I'm just fucking choked.
Yeah, well, no, and understandably so, because I mean,
I'm pacing right now, and it's not even me that got hit.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I mean, certainly. He may have been disobeying a police officer. He may have been kind of drunk in a public place. He may even have been in some way not complying with a direct order from a police officer. But there's just got to be a better way. I mean, how can you be walking on your way to an AA meeting and then 10 minutes later have a broken kneecap? It just seems to me that there are ways they've been trained to minimize bodily harm like this. I mean, knowing John the way that I have a hard time believing he would have resisted arrest in the first place, because you know he's been arrested by the police before. This is not the first time.
Yeah, but all the cops know him, and that's what the screwed up thing is. Everyone knows him. He's 150 pounds. He is not going to swing at someone at all.
And he told me in the interview that if he knew he was under arrest, he would have put his hands up and said, "Okay, cuff me," you know, because he knew he wasn't doing anything wrong. He knew he hadn't broken into anyone's apartment. So he would have been like, I know they're going to let me out in 10 hours, so what does it matter? Certainly he wouldn't want to have ended up with a broken kneecap, and certainly, as you said, he's not a big guy. He's not going to go up against a 200-pound police officer armed with a taser, a pepper spray, and apparently a baton.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, it's bullshit because, oh man, I just wish I was there because, cop or not, I would have swung.
Yeah.
You know, like, he did not deserve it. He is like tiny. Like, I'm talking like I've had girlfriends way tinier than him, okay? And he is tiny.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you said before, I mean, you know yourself, there are, even if you do disobey a police officer, the first act is not to go and break the guy's kneecap, right?
Yeah, the first one is to restrain him, to ask him to get his hands behind his back, and then as soon as his hands are behind his back, put the handcuffs on. If he uses any force, or tries to get out of it, you do an arm bar and push on the back of the shoulder till he is on the ground.
Right.
That's what the cops are supposed to do. I've been arrested a million times, and the nice ones do that.
Yeah. No,
all the nice ones do the exact same move. So
exactly. It's not like
that's what they're trained for.
It's not like he could have outrun the police officer if they had decided to take a few extra minutes to try and get it back into location. It just seems to me they jumped to the first thing here. Apparently, John was saying he knows a lot of the police in the area, hadn't seen this one before. Maybe he just didn't know the procedure. Maybe there's some X factor we don't know about.
It doesn't matter. If you got a cop uniform on, you know the rules. You know? You know. Like, that's when you know the most is when you're new. Because you just studied the fucking books.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a fair point. Yeah. Well, like I said, there may be something we don't know about. There could be an X factor. We are waiting on the police report.
Exactly, we're waiting.
Apparently, John wants his lawyer is now involved. They're looking at suing the police. So they're not even sure if the police know they've broken his kneecap yet. And they want to get a look at the actual police report before they decide their judgment. And they've asked us to hold off on releasing those details until such time they've decided what they want to do legally. So we expect this week sometime to be able to release some information about that. But right now, it sounds to me like you're not expecting a justification from the RCMP.
Oh no, they won't say sorry unless their jobs are on the line.